Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz says China could become the company's top market. I sat down with him here in Shanghai to talk about how the world's largest coffee shop operator plans to target a country of tea drinkers.
I've been coming here consistently now for a decade, and I'd say for the first 8 or 9 years, most of our customers, to be honest with you, were tourists and expats. Today, though, we clearly have turned the corner in terms of the core customers are not only local Chinese, but lots of them. China has become a highly profitable market for us, and what we now see is the opportunity to really expand the business. We've said publicly at least 1,500 stores by 2015. We also will triple the workforce from 10 to 30,000. You know, building a brand here in China is a highly complex undertaking. In fact, you know, I would compare it over the last few years to something like the gold rush, where there's so many companies, Western brands, rushing in, and I think, to be honest with you, many of them are not going to succeed. They don't understand the importance of local relevancy and the respect necessary not only to the consumer but the employee.
And talking about the customer base, you guys are expanding into the smaller cities.
Yeah, the big surprise is that we are doing as well, and in some cases better, in those markets than we are in Shanghai or Beijing. And so the confidence we now have is we're in 48 cities. We'll get to over 70, maybe 75 by 2015. And the other thing is, it seems to be a rite of passage for some of the mayors and the local people to get a Starbucks in their local city or town. I think what's really important is we don't want to grow the company for growth's sake. We want to do it very thoughtfully. This is a marathon here. It potentially could be the biggest market in the world for Starbucks. We're noted in America for being the first company to provide health insurance and equity in the form of stock options to our employees in the U.S. We're bringing many of those programs here in China, and I think people are stunned that it's not something we have to do, it's something we want to do, and it's part of the DNA of the company.
Starbucks wants China to be the second biggest market by 2014. Is that correct?
By 2014, we'll have more stores in China than any other market in the 58 countries we're currently in other than the U.S.
A lot of people describe Starbucks now as a lifestyle brand in China. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Starbucks represents is that gathering place where the communities can come together, where people can bring their family and friends into our stores, relax in a warm and inviting atmosphere, engage with our partners who know them by name, and really bring together the community.
Starbucks has said in the past the goal by the year 2015 to have 1,500 stores roughly in China. How are you doing on the timeline? Is it going better than expected?
Well, we're right on track to achieve that 1,500 store milestone. And when we do, China will become our second home market, as we call it, outside of the U.S. It's not about opening 200 stores. It's about opening that one store 200 times over and doing it the right way.
What does the year 2020 look like for Starbucks in China and Asia?
We are building a different type of company in China. Obviously a company that balances the need for profitability, which public companies do, but more importantly the way in which we give back to the communities. We are building our brand holistically in China.
星巴克咖啡已经花费14年的时间，试图说服更多的中国人认同他们的咖啡文化。而星巴克打算在中国快速扩张，其中的一个策略就是更中国化，包括提供中国红豆口味的咖啡和海南鸡三明治。
取得更大市场份额的办法就是变得更本土化，并吸收当地文化。比如在美国开小小咖啡店，让上班族买上杯咖啡和三明治，匆匆去上班的做法在中国并不适合。中国人更喜欢在下午的时候呼朋引伴，坐在沙发上享受轻松的时光。所以有的星巴克中国店的面积要达到3800平方英尺，让消费者可以款待朋友和商业伙伴。而口味也是问题，星巴克发现中国人对咖啡的喜爱实在有限，需要推出更中国味的饮料，如现在的红豆口味的咖啡、中国味的三明治、海南鸡和大米卷，以及泰式虾包三明治。
What is the greatest challenge for Starbucks in China in terms of its growth projections?
I think it's very important that we continue to be seen as a leader in terms of innovation and providing products that demonstrate our leadership position from an innovation perspective.
How important is the growth in Asia and the growth in China to the overall earnings potential of Starbucks in the coming quarters?
We look at China and across Asia Pacific, it represents the single biggest retail growth opportunity that we have in front of us. So for the immediate future, we are continuing to make significant investments in our people, in IT infrastructure and supply chain infrastructure so that we can ramp up the growth and continue to accelerate the growth.